everybody, so this is my episode recap of Spider-Man episode recap. So this is my episode recap of 3 episodes of Spider-Man. Oh boy. Well, this was really cool. Like, the first episode was amazing because if you remember in the last episode, like, Norman Osborn discovered who Spider-Man was, and this was getting intense. Like, we see, like, Norman Osborn, he's the Goblin, but this is the first time Norman Osborn is finding out that Peter is Spider-Man when he's just starting out being Spider-Man. And this is before Norman becomes the Green Goblin. So this is just getting intense. So Norman invites Peter for dinner and he tries to help him. He wants to do business, but Peter is like, I can't do this. Like, I can't put you in danger. But then later he sees how Aunt May is selling some of the stuff, and then he discovers that he does need to work for Norman to pay off stuff. And then he fights some new villains. I think there's Speed Demon and Tarantula, and they seem like really intense villains. And he makes a joke how they're Bonnie and Clyde. And Speed Demon, I believe, is voiced by Roger Craig Smith. He's kind of like an evil version of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I found pretty funny. So Norman is in his comms and he tries to find him and tries to help Spider-Man, and then he finds a way to defeat them by getting smart and seeing how their tech works. And there's a logo on it that Norman's trying to figure out. Also, there's another story with Lonnie Lincoln, and in the last episode you could kind of feel like they're building up to something, and he tries to pay for everyone's lunch, but then his card got denied and he had to pay with money, but he didn't have enough money and he had to use an apple. But then he had to go home because the police were there because his brother Andre was joining a gang and he had to go up and pick him up. But then he had to make a deal with his crime boss named Big Don, and Big Don was like, he's not going anywhere. So Lonnie had to let him work for him to protect Andre. Oh my gosh, like, he was doing it just to protect him. Now this is where it was getting interesting, because I always thought they were building up to something, and I'm like, well, in the comics he's Tombstone, so what are they going to do with him? But he joins a gang, like, just to protect his little brother. That's where it gets intense. And in the next episode, he also brought up Captain America's Civil War. Like, there's a scene where they showed the news report where Civil War happened, like at the airport scene, because Spider-Man couldn't join that scene because he already got working with Norman Osborn and Oscorp. So now what's going to happen with what happens there? And there's like, people are talking about divisive opinions about like Captain America and Iron Man, and even Harry was like, Captain America was just trying to save his best friend. I mean, who wouldn't? And even with polarized opinions with Iron Man, and there's like the whole Sokovia codes, and I think they were even referencing the first Avengers movie with the aliens, and even Norman made a speech about like, we need heroes. We'll have to see what's going to happen next. I wonder how they're going to adapt Infinity War. And now Norman tries to give him better clothes. And one clothes was like Asgard with a cape, and then they were beating him up. And I thought the outfit looked pretty cool, but he even says like, all this says is I'm not worthy. He's like, I need a better suit. And in the next suit, he was like, it's that bug suit? And when he started wearing that, I just laughed. Like, I thought it was funny. And the bug wing couldn't work, and he's like, you need to be more a variety of different bugs. Like, but he's like, nah, Spider-Man is me, and the suit just wasn't working. And then one suit is where he's in all black, like Black Panther, but the little girl got scared even though she returned a balloon. And the mother was like, that man scared that guy, get him. And I was like, oh boy. And he had to fly away, and then he finally gets a better suit, which is the Future Foundation suit. And it's like, it's fireproof, and he's like, this looks amazing, and it's like, amazing, you're amazing, because you know. And it's interesting, he's starting to wear the Future Foundation suit, because in the comics he only wears that suit by joining the Fantastic Four when they become the Future Foundation. So that's interesting that he's already wearing it here. And in the later episode he even jokes, is like, it's too white, like I kind of like red and blue, like Captain America. And oh boy, when he goes back to Norman Osborn, Norman appears like, this suit is great, I like it. And then Norman Osborn's like, But then you discovered Harry finds out that Peter is Spider-Man. Yeah, Harry already finds out that Peter is Spider-Man. And that is awesome. Like, usually never does find out he's Spider-Man, or he does, and he's usually for revenge, and usually Harry always hates Spider-Man because of something, but this is different. Like, he already finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, so I want to know where he goes from here, because this is where I don't mind the changes, because it got really frustrating in every show where he's like, I hate Spider-Man for this. Wait, Peter is Spider-Man? Oh my gosh. So I'm glad that this is a cool, different change of pace. So I like this. And Spider-Man is fighting these villains, and I think one is supposed to be the Unicorn. I thought the other one might be Rhino, but he doesn't sound like his name is Alexis or something. I think it's like a different name. And Dimitri is there. Yeah, the SHIELD agent that was working for Nick Fury and Spider-Man Far From Home, but he's like a criminal that's working for the villains. And one of the lady makes a run for it, and then when she leaves, she goes to a guy working for her, and it has that logo, and who's running it? Dr. Otto Octavius. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I discovered there's a third episode. They're like, there's another episode? Cool. And Dr. Octopus, I really love this design. He looks like Otto, like, because I wasn't really a fan of the other design, so I love how comic accurate and classic his design looks. And he feels like Otto Octavius. It is. Because I do like those stories where Otto and Peter are friends and then he turns evil, which makes it a tragedy. But I do like that in this version he already is evil and arrogant, so I kind of want to see what they're going to do with this, so I think that's very classy. But there's another story in the second episode they aired, like Lonnie had to skip school because he's working with this gang and he has to do his schoolwork, but then Big Don is like, no, you work for me. And then there's like another game called Scorpion, and he brought up Matt Gargan, and then he goes to this fast food restaurant and he's like, I gotta pick up for Big Don, and the game, it was like, give Big Don this message, and it's like the Scorpion. So Matt Gargan is like a leader of a Scorpion gang, and oh, because we know him as the Scorpion, and there is some concept art of him being the Scorpion, so I can't wait that's gonna happen. And in the third episode they aired, which I think is like the sixth, fifth. Oh, anyway, so in the next episode, Harry finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, and they're gonna talk about it. And then Harry drops him up at school, and he's the popular kid at school. And Nico, his best friend, is like, even the teachers are talking about it. And his teacher's like, oh my gosh, there he is. I'm gonna wave. That's kind of funny. But there's also a scene where Nico talks about Harry, and he's like, Harry, he's like a vapid this, and Peter's like, why are you following him? And he's like, I'm not. I'm following him ironically. Yeah, so that's kind of funny. And Peter invites Nico to a Funny Bee movie, and because they love that kind of stuff, so I thought that was nice. And then Peter had to go and be Spider-Man. He's fighting the lady, but the lady meets Dr. Octopus, and he's like, I got you this tech, and she's the unicorn in this. I think in the comics, the unicorn is like an Iron Man villain, so it's interesting that he's finding that. And you do see Bentley Whitman, I think that's his name, Bentley Whitman, and there's like a whole conversation in in the other episode, and you see how mean and arrogant he can be. And yeah, because there's like so many different characters they're gonna build up to be villains someday. But anyways, he goes and fights the villain unicorn. It's a really cool action scene, and Harry is on comms, and he's like, I'm your guy at the desk. And Norman was like, I would have worded better because, guy in a chair. So he helps Spider-Man, and and there's almost a part where you thought he was gonna die because Unicorn holds him, and the big guy grabs the Unicorn helmet, because there was a nice scene where Spider-Man helped the big guy, and I thought that was really nice of him. So then Unicorn goes to jail, and so is the big guy. But there's also a story with Lonnie Lakin, like he's missing football practice because he has to join this gang all to protect his brother Andre. I hope Andre appreciates what he's doing for him. And then there's like a fight, and then Scorpion was gonna stab Big John, and he gets stabbed, and he's like, you put him down, we should call you Gravedigger. And Big Don was like, no, I know a better name. Tombstone. Yeah, they're finally giving him the name Tombstone, so they're starting to build him up as Tombstone. I wonder what they're gonna do with this version of Tombstone. Like, he's a high school student, and this is his origin story, and he's like, yeah, I'm Tombstone. And he likes being called Tombstone, and he likes being in the fights. Oh boy, because he's such a good guy, and he was such a nice guy in the other episodes. And he has a girlfriend, Pearl, and he's doing so good in life, and now he's joining this gang, and he's gonna be built up as a villain. So far, there's so many different villains that are gonna be properly built up, like Norman Osborn, we know as Green Goblin, and Dr. Connors, we know as the Lizard, and Bentley Whitman, we know as the Wizard, the guy who can levitate objects, and now Lonnie Lincoln, we know as Tombstone, so no, that's four people we know who are gonna be built up as villains. Oh man, this is getting really intense. I, I really enjoy these episodes. I got excited, I got intense. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next. Well, I guess that's all I can talk about. These were some great episodes. Oh, and there is a part where I do like the part where Spider-Man always helps people. Like he chooses saving the people in the burning cars. Like that's very Spider-Man, and he got excited from it being fireproof. And he's like, "I'm not fireproof." I was like, "Oh yeah," and he saves the people. And then he's like, "Oh no, I'm late to visit Nico," and he finally makes it on time because we know Spider-Man. He's always late for being with his best friends and his girlfriend because that's the sacrifice you have to make as Spider-Man. But he knows that with great power comes great responsibility. And he invites Harry to the movies, which is nice. So I guess that's it for the episodes. They're really intense. So now we have Dr. Otto Octavius, who's Dr. Octopus. We don't see him in the mechanical arms, but I really love how how very comic accurate this is. This is like a very favorite design, just like the 90s Spider-Man I like. Like, this is a really better design. Like, I like this. Because, like I said before, I'm not a fan of those other designs they did, but I really like this. Like, that's Dr. Octopus. So, I can't wait to see what the next episodes are gonna show. Well, what are your thoughts on these episodes? I got really excited to watch them. I hope you all enjoy them. I can't wait to see what happens next, and see you next time. Spider-Man!